What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Beyond the Crete podcast. Super excited for this one. We have an absolute legend in the floor coating industry. So if you guys don't know who Cory Pollard or LS Concrete Coatings is, the links and everything will be in the bio below. But as you know, with the Beyond the Crete podcast, we do four things: a bio, then we get into the past, the present, and the future, talking about what they are good at. So there's one thing that Cory is good at. It is creating the ultimate customer experience. Another benefit and another thing that you're going to hear from us is about his inventory management system. That's for a different podcast. So everybody, please welcome Cory, and I'm going to give you your shout. Quick 2-minute time. Tell us about yourself.
Hey, man, appreciate you having me on. Cory Pollard, LS Concrete Coatings, started this business about a little over 3 years ago. I've been in the coatings world for a little over 7. Before that, home improvements. When I was younger, worked on RVs, actually became a master certified tech. I've been all over the place. Just if I can get my hands on it, fix it, repair it, make it better, that's what I enjoy doing. Wife Christina, 2 kids, Luke and Sophia, actually where the L and the S comes from in our company. Family's a really big thing for me. And when I was trying to figure out a name for the company, I wanted to make sure that I was like, I want to know why I'm going to work every day. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm going home to them. And I need to make sure and remember that family's a big part of me. So when we're out there and we're speaking with clients and we're talking with clients, like you're talking about the customer experience, it's like, I need to make sure that, the old school values that I was taught by my parents is it's lost nowadays. And it's so important. Like, it drives me nuts when I go. And so it's like, I don't want people to feel like that if they're going to work with me. If they're going to trust us to do work on their home, I should be appreciative of that and respect that correctly, as opposed to, well, yeah, of course you're going to do work with me because who else is going to do your job? You know what I mean? I mean, even if I was the only guy around, which I'm not, we're just north of Dallas in Texas. So, man, we've got competition for days, and if you're going to separate yourself in any way, you've got to find a way that I think speaks to your heart. And one of the things that speaks to my heart is taking care of people, treating people well, so that when we get finished, they are completely satisfied with the experience. They don't feel like they were taken advantage of. They don't feel like anybody ripped their head off. It's like value for money. And I feel like experience is a huge part of that. I mean, it just is. It's like, just treat people well, and then find new and different ways to implement that, and, be better every day.
Okay. No, that's awesome. No, I appreciate that. All right, guys, that's a great segue into the past. Okay, so Cory, give us the 15-minute story of the past, right? So what got you into concrete coatings? What got you into the customer experience? What did you have maybe in your personal life dealing with a contractor, and how you relate that back to your personal business, but primarily just your past, not today. How did you get from yesterday to today? What happened before to create today's?
Sure. So, how I got into the concrete coating world is I was actually working in a home service business. My brother owns a very successful business in the area. And we were just chatting back and forth one day, and he was like, "Hey, man, I really want to get my garage done, my garage floor, but, who do you call?" Right? Like, back then, I know we're not talking about today, but like today, completely different. But back then, you couldn't find anybody, you know what I mean? Unless everybody did commercial work. So coming out and getting your garage done, handyman, and he didn't want that. He likes nice things. He spends good money. He wants nice things. And so anyway, what we did was I did research, found a company, and I was like, well, honestly, I would say of everybody, this is the company you need to work with. Problem is, nobody in our area is anywhere close to using that product, right? Like, this is the future, but It was a polyurea polyaspartic system. And I was like, man, this is who you need to work with, but I don't know what we're going to do about it. And he's, he wasn't in a rush. So he's just like, well, we'll see what happens. Skip down the road a month or two. What happens is one of his old contacts that he worked with in the window replacement world had started working for that company, and they were looking for new dealers. So his buddy comes. I mean, talk about a weird coincidence, right? So his buddy comes walking in, and he's like, "Hey, man, I've got something. I just want to sit down and talk to you." So my brother's like, "Okay." So they sit down and talk, and next thing I know, he's like, they got done with their meeting, and he calls me in, and he's like, "Hey, let's talk." He said, "You know that garage floor coating stuff?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "How about we just start doing it?" And I was like, "Wait, what?" Like, we don't know anything about concrete, like nothing, right? And so anyway, it was just kind of one of those things. It was like it was kind of fate. So we flew up. We did one of the 2-day classes that you hear so much about in the forums that everybody's slamming on. And it's funny. I have to say there's nothing that can replace experience. Nothing. But you got to start somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So we went up, we got started. We had an excellent support staff. We were able to learn kind of trial by fire. I mean, here's the deal. If you're going to go out and you're going to learn something, as long as, in my opinion, as long as you have the capability to where if you do it and you succeed, then you're good. If you do it and you fail, you need to have the backbone to stand up and say, I failed. Let me fix it. Let me make it right for you. That's where people get screwed up. It's like you can have a learning system, and as long as you pick the right guys to go through that learning system, people that are hungry, people that actively want to succeed, people that actively want to help clients, right? Like they want to do a good job, and they're capable of doing it. I had enough past experiences with all kinds of different things. This is just one more thing, right? I know how to run all kinds of different tools. I used to do custom trim work way back in my past. So it's like, I understand detail work, I guess is what I'm saying. And to me, even if you're putting down a flake floor, if you're not doing it with some bit of artistry, you might want to rethink it, because you can take a flake floor and you can make it terrible, or you can make that thing just pristine. And here in our area, the concrete work that goes down, God, you should see it. It's how in the, I watch my mouth, we're on podcast. How in the heck they get away with the building inspectors passing off on some of this stuff? It's terrible. And so, like, my thought is, if we've got the means to go in and repair and make this thing to where it looks like they did a fantastic job, then the customer's actually getting a heck of an experience. And so back then when we first started, it was just like, okay, we are going to do it. We're going to look over it. If we're not satisfied with it, we're going to do it again. And luckily enough, in the beginning, there were a lot of things that we did that were very acceptable within the industry. You look at the pictures and compare them to pictures from other companies, and our floors looked really, really good, but they didn't have all of the small touches, if you will. They had the main part of everything was done very well. It was mixed very well, because I was working with this other guy, my teammate, his name was Mike, and both of us OCD like madmen, right? So it's just like, hey man, they said we have to mix exactly like this, exactly for this long, and we're like making sure our cups are perfectly level and being so over the top about it. It's like we were limiting our failures. And even to this day, so that was 7 years ago, even to this day, the amount of callbacks that have come through have still been minimal. And since they've been minimal, and my brother stopped doing coatings, but they would still call him. And even the amount of people that have called all the way up to this point, it's been very minimal. So the coatings have worked, right? So saying that there's no way that you can do a 2-day system or a 2-day training class and be successful, I have to disagree. You just have to have the right mindset, the right people, and you have to go into it knowing that if you screw up, you better live up to it and follow through with it. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
coming back to the
No, I'm just gonna kind of interject real quick. I mean, there's a lot to unpack right there, guys. But pretty much everything that he just said was no matter what happens, creating the ultimate customer experience is fixing it at all, no matter what, right? Giving the customer what they originally asked for, hands down.
and if you think about it, so be it. If you cannot figure it out and you have to call in another company, even a competitor, and you have to pay them to come fix that one scenario, and you pay them. I'm fortunate I didn't have to do this, but I'm just talking about doing the right thing, right? And you pay that company to come in and do it with guys that have been doing it for a longer time because it's that one scenario that you didn't have enough experience in that moment to overcome. Pay them, have it redone, get it redone with your materials. That's what you sold them. You sold them a floor with your materials under your standards. And if it's not meeting your standards, and you can sit there and you can get another company if you had to, right? Get another company in, or you go back out there and you try again. But at last resort, if you got paid another company to come in and do it, in the end, what happens? You sit out there and you watch what they do. You get more experience. You learn from them. You do right by your customer. That's what home service is all about, doing right by the customer. And if you can get over your own ego to just say, hey, this is bigger than me, then we do overcome it, and we do take care of the customer in that manner. I have been fortunate that I would say one of my key things that has helped me out throughout my life, throughout working in the industry, is I feel like I'm really good at troubleshooting and seeing the problem arise as it's coming. And then I start formulating a plan. And then with a little bit of, the more knowledge you have, the more experience you have, the more you can just take all of that information and put it together in the right pieces. And even though you haven't been in this particular scenario, you can formulate a way to be able to overcome that scenario. As long as you've got that kind of mindset. And again, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm not just going to slop this down. Please don't do that. Don't be that guy. You know what I mean? Just, oh my God. And we fix jobs like that all the time now, but of other companies that, I have no idea who they are, but anybody that can go to a big box store and grab a box of epoxy and go throw it down. I've got a story for bad customer experience if you got a minute. We actually did a job. It was kind of down an alleyway. And we were on one side of the alley doing a job. And there was another company that showed up to do a job. Literally, I mean, it was like we were looking out of our garage into their garage. And another company was doing it. Well, by the time that guy showed up, one person did the floor. He showed up after we did, finished before we got finished. And oh yeah, his garage was bigger. And he came in, he washed everything out first thing in the morning. Then he acid washed. Actually, he blew it out, acid washed it, then took a broom and brushed all of that acid out onto the driveway, ran down the driveway, puddled in the alley. As cars were coming through, they're driving through and dragging it through the alley. So by the end of the day, and he got it wet, threw a couple of fans in, left for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours for lunch, came back and immediately started putting product down. Like, can you imagine wetting out concrete and not fully allowing it to like really dry, and then you're putting down epoxy on it?
And he just threw one coat down.
Doesn't that sound like a nightmare? Yeah. He threw one coat. He threw one coat down, through a partial broadcast and bolted. And then when we got finished, because we did multiple areas on that house that day. So we were, bouncing back and forth. Anyway, by the time he left and that by the end of the day, and we were checking out and going over everything with the customer, you could see everywhere that acid had gone. It was just bright white trails all down the driveway. I mean, this was a brand new housing development. So people hadn't even moved into this house yet. They got it done before they closed on the house, and they've already got acid trails all the way down their freaking driveway.
Brand new driveway. Hell no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. How that is not customer service.
No.
Right?
No, and
That
that's
is
the bad
cheap.
part, because that's creating that customer experience that's going to have a bad, right? Doesn't matter if it's in the concrete industry. No, they might have a bad customer experience with a framing contractor, trim contractor, painter, right? Like they're
Yep.
automatically going to associate that all contractors are bad, right? So it's unique that
Yes.
that past, you say, it has, been like some of the knowledge that you're talking about is actually within our industry. But that right there in a brand
Yep.
new custom house, probably over a $500,000 house, ruined their entire driveway and left them with a pretty nasty looking floor that they're going to be replacing in 1 to 2 years, no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you hit it on the head when you said it's not just our industry, right? It's not just concrete coating. It's not just concrete workers. It's not people that do overlays. It's anybody that goes to do any kind of work on anyone's home. That our clients that we all work with, they all have a stigma that contractors are crooks. They're scam artists. They're going to take my money and run. If they do take my money, like, I'm trusting you to be the professional, but how do I know that you're doing a good job? I can only know if it looks good or bad, but just because it looks good doesn't mean it was done correctly. Right? In our industry, we're doing coatings, and with our coatings, okay, maybe at the end of the day, it looks great. Maybe the people that were putting it together didn't mix it correctly. Maybe they didn't pour it correctly. Maybe they didn't prep the material correctly. Maybe you were supposed to pre-mix. Maybe you didn't. Well, at the end of the day, the floor may look great, but any of those things are going to shorten the life, right? It's going to shorten the life. So you're paying for cheap today, but unfortunately, it's not going to bite you in the tail, right, until down the road. And then are they going to be around? And so for us, we have to, if you care about doing a good job, if you care about having a good reputation, you have to start overcoming that before you ever show up on the job. It's got to be hardwired through your company. Your company may just be you. And if it is just you, guess what? You got to work on yourself every day, right? You got to start those processes with yourself, and you have to, that way, whenever you do get a helper or you do make a decision, anytime something happens, usually the right thing to do is not the easy thing to do, right? So you've got to know that hey, my reputation is going to depend on, do I have the energy to actually make that correct decision when I'm presented with it? As opposed to just going, man, I'm tired. It's been a long day. I just want to go home to my wife. Well, and there's a lot of people out there that don't care about this stuff. I do. You know what I mean? Like, I truly care about this stuff. And there's a lot of people that are just like, yep, I'm going home. And you know what? If that's your choice, that's your choice. There's got to be different levels for everything. You can be cheaper because you can be more efficient with your time. You don't have to be on a job as long. But me, I'm the guy that's like, when I'm presented with that, I'm like, I wouldn't want somebody coming to my mom's house and making that decision. I wouldn't want somebody coming to my grandma's house and making that decision. I don't care what they're doing. I don't care if they come over to mow the lawn, whatever. If you're going to do it and you're getting paid to do it, do the service that you were paid to do. So for me, if I don't want anybody to do that to my family, the last thing I'm going to do is go out and do it to somebody else's, right? I want to be the guy that, like, I tell people, when we work with you, you contract with us, you bring us out to your house, We appreciate that. So when we get finished working together, I want you to feel like you got something done to your home. You got an upgrade. It's all great, but you don't feel like you worked with a contractor, right? Like you've got, maybe you don't have new friends. Maybe you don't have new, you know what I mean? Like maybe we're not hanging out for barbecues, but you enjoyed the experience because, you know, you talk to, if you're our age or older and you talk to your parents, talk to your grandparents, just everything was different, right? Like everybody helped out each other. Everybody did for each other. Nowadays, everything's moving so freaking fast. Everybody's looking out for number one. But, you know, you look on, just go to BBB. Oh man, just go to BBB.
Oh, yes.
The amount of complaints against contractors on BBB, guess what? That's why you're starting in the hole as far as, well, I haven't done anything wrong. Yeah, you did. You became a contractor.
You know, it's funny you say that because, you know, and a lot of what you just kind of said kind of wraps us into the, you know, the present, right? Like what you're doing currently to get that customer experience. But, you know, I always tell everybody is you're not selling to the homeowner, you're actually selling against their last buying opportunity, right? So if your past contractor or experience was bad, you now are competing against that, right?
Yep.
People automatically group the current experience you might give to their past bad experience, right? So again, in the past, if they've had a bad experience, you need to come in and wow them 10x more than just coming in and making their friend and selling them on what your service is, because you're really selling against their last purchasing thing, right? Whether they went to a big box store or they bought, say, a new roof, it's that experience that you're competing against.
I mean, you think about it, you're right on point. I mean, you are competing against the fact that they went to the neighborhood market and they couldn't find anybody to help them find the right jelly, right? An experience that you are going to spend money with someone and they came away with a negative connotation. You are competing with that. Why? Because the only common denominator in the entire situation is that customer, right? So every bad experience where they've ever tried to go have any sort of monetary interaction with someone, I'm paying you for a service, buying a car, getting a car detailed, right? I mean, anything, putting Christmas lights up. If they ever had that experience, you have to overcome that or you're not working with them. Unless, you know, they're just one of those people where they've just got that insurmountable hope where they're like, man, I just hope to God it works this time. Right? Like, I hope, but
that's sad,
I don't know.
That's sad because customers have gotten that bad because there has been so many bad past experiences and stuff, right? So that's a good segue kind of talking about, you know, the present, right? So we've talked a lot about, or you've already touched on a lot of what you're currently doing based off your past, but walk us through that, right? So spend some time to walk us through what you're doing, right? The phone rings, you complete a job, 5-star review, everything above and beyond, right? Start to finish, your customer experience. What are you currently doing to make sure that you are going above and beyond and you're already pushing away all the past from them?
Sure. So, first things first, you know, I would say the first interaction with a customer typically is going to be either a phone, they call us, or we get an interaction on social media, right? Like that's just the way people contact now. So you're either getting a text message, you're getting Facebook, whatever, or they're actually calling. And I would say the biggest thing is be over the top about being friendly to this person. It's the first interaction they're going to have with your company. So if you want to represent yourself well, you've got to be over the top. I mean, take the fact that, well, I had a flat on the way into work. I had to stop and get that handled. You know, I couldn't get my dog outside fast enough. You know, they went to the bathroom on the carpet. When that person calls or initiates contact with you, they don't care. It's not their problem. And you have to also think on both sides of the coin. what have they gone through up to this point during their day, yet they're still reaching out to you, right? So instead of taking it for granted that the phone's ringing or that you're getting a message, I mean, just simple human nature, whether you get a job out of it or not, we really should all actively try to be nicer to one another. So, I mean, if you can brighten somebody's day, whether or not you get a job out of it, because let's face it, everybody that calls in is not a potential client. They're just not, right? So, but if you could brighten their day and they get off the phone, guess what? They're going to remember that experience as a positive one. And if they ever hear anybody talking about something, they are going to try to remember, who was it that I talked to that made me smile when I called? I was having a terrible day, and I called and talked to this girl over at LS Concrete Coatings, and she just sounded like sunshine on the other side, right? And I mean, but right? Am I wrong?
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you think about it. What's one of the worst things you can do being in home improvements is call your friend to come work on your house, right? Because think about it. Think about the experience, right? It's our buddy. We already like them, but as soon as we're like, hey man, I need to get my front door replaced, the reaction is always,
well,
I mean, I can get you taken care of. Like they've got so much work they don't need anymore, right? Like, I don't know these people. I don't know where that comes in, but it's like, they don't need work. I'm like, man, I don't know about you. I'm hustling every day, right? Like,
I want that work. I want that work.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's just different because you've got that connection with them. Whereas if you call and a complete stranger calls, oh, hey, how are you doing? Right. Like, but you should do that with everybody. And if they're going to call in and they're going to have this conversation, I mean, I tell Katie is the girl that's working in our office right now. She's doing fantastic. But we have training. We actually have practice. You have to practice this. I would say most people are not naturally bubbly. And if you try to talk to somebody about being bubbly, they look at you like, what? And it's like, look, it's a real thing, because whenever I get on the phone, I have a phone voice. People don't realize it, but if you're in customer service, you should have a phone voice. It is, I was describing it a couple of days ago. Like, look, you have to put on a show. Okay. You have to put on a show because nobody cares if your morning was good or bad. Nobody cares. They are calling looking for answers to their questions. And the better that experience is, the more likely they are going to follow through and move forward into the next step. Right. So you want them to, it's like what you're doing is you're taking away the excuses while you're also potentially making their day better. So it's just like, hey, this is Cory with LS Concrete Coatings. How are you doing today? What can I help you with? Right? It's totally different voice, right? It's got a different pitch. It's a higher tone, right? It's less threatening.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say from the first phone call, you need to really look at doing that. And I would say the easiest thing on a phone call, it's a stupid trick, but it helps. You need two things: smile and project. If you will smile and you project, you would be surprised at how, look, watch. You'd be surprised at how it changes, right? It changes the tone. And whether it's subtle or not, whether you mean it or not, I mean, it would be nice if you mean it, but if you mean it or not, it's going to start sounding better, and absolutely it's contagious. So you're going to have a better conversation, which is going to lead to you having a better day, right? So first conversation, I would say, smile, be happy, be helpful. If they're asking a bunch of questions, I tell anybody that answers the phones here, I'm like, look, this is my thing. If they've got questions, our goal is to help people. So if they've got questions and they're trying to find answers to a solution, and we can point them in the right direction, whether we're going to do business with them or not, just help the person out. There's other people here that answer the phones. If it rings and you're busy and you've been on a 15-minute call and you're helping, an 80-year-old woman who thought that we poured concrete and she needs, a 4-foot little section done so that her cat can go outside and lay in the sun. help her, Google for her, right? Like Google for her, help her find somebody that's reputable because she doesn't know how to find anybody and she's lost. I don't want our people, and I know it invests a lot of time, right? It invests a lot of time, but I don't want our people to, I don't want our people to just go, how would you say it? Like, no, we don't do that. Good luck.
Yeah. No, and that's very powerful. And I wanted to interject in that too, because that's one of the things that I try to talk about too, is like, if somebody comes to me and I might not have that exact solution, I'm going to find them the solution, right? I'm not going to say, no, we don't offer it. I'm going to probably pass them off to a different competitor, if you will, but I'm not going to get that business anyways. I'm going to go support somebody within our industry. But more importantly, that customer, not mine, that customer now thinks very highly of me, or at least the company that I helped them out.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you don't feel like a piece of crap, right? You're not like, screw them, because it's my belief, if you bring negative energy into your life in that manner, like, cause you're being selfish with your time, like it's contagious, right? Positive energy is contagious. Negative energy is contagious.
100%.
You know, help yourself, help your family, help your kids, help your parents, by being a better you. And that's another thing we focus on that I think helps us with, just our one of our philosophies around here is be better today than you were yesterday. Right. And I tell the guys, it doesn't matter solely. It's not about being better at your job. Be a better version of you today than you were yesterday. I call it a win if you're a better husband today, a better wife today, a better son, a better daughter, a better father, a better mother. It's a win. And if you're constantly trying to improve yourself, you're bringing a better package with you to work. Right?
100%. Personal development is the one thing that's lacking in the society today, without going deep into that. But I mean, that's something that everybody should be working on every single day, right? I always say, you got to move the needle, right? So whether that's business or personal, right? And move the needle, right? Are you moving the needle 1% every day, right? I mean, that's exactly what you're talking about. So it's exciting that you say that. So I want to take that exact concept and I want to touch on, what are you doing to create the customer experience through your installers, right? So what coaching, training and stuff that you're doing, like you get to the installation standpoint, you're creating that customer experience, but now that customer is dealing with your installers, right? The training, what are your installers doing and how are they creating that raving customer?
So once our customers go through a sales process, one of the biggest things around here is setting expectations, meeting expectations. Okay. So when they book a phone call, we set a sales call. The sales call is set for 2:00. The salesperson is there at 2:00. Respect their time, right? And there's a lot of different philosophies on that. I won't go into that because we're going to talk about the installers. But then once the salesperson's in there, they're going to make X amount of promises. Okay. Then all that needs to be written down, fully notated on the paperwork, so that, I don't know, we'll just say that person just vanished, that salesperson vanished off the face of the earth. Anybody else that picks up that piece of paper knows exactly what's going on. Okay. It may not seem like that, seems like it's going to help you personally because, okay, I get to go to work and I know what I'm doing. Yes. But when it comes to our installers, when they walk up, the last thing they need to do when they walk up to that house to go start the install at exactly the time that we told them they would arrive, right? Not 2.5 hours later, not, hey, I'm calling you at 10:30. Like, y'all said you were starting today. Where are you? You know, we give them a 30-minute window. You should know how traffic works in your area. If anything pushes you further back and you're not going to meet that time, our guys are expected to get on the phone. They've got all their paperwork, get on the phone, call them, let them know this is what the situation is, but we are on our way and we're expecting this time. If it gets later than that, I'll let you know. Set expectations, follow through, keep promises. It's huge. So as far as our guys, if they've got all of the information down correct, then one of the things that they're going to do when they arrive is they're going to not, like, we don't pull into the driveway unless we absolutely have to, right? Like most roads will allow you to park on the road. Some cases out in the country, you got to pull down the driveway, whatever. But if they can pull up, our vehicles are wrapped, pull up on the street where it's visible from the front door. All of my guys, no matter who's on the job, is expected to get out and everybody goes to the front door.
Wow.
The lead person. Oh, and we go down to detail, right? Like you do not step foot on grass. You do not walk through neighbors' yards. You use sidewalks. You use driveways.
Yes.
You go up to the front door. Dude, everybody's got cameras now. If you think somebody's not watching, you are an idiot.
No.
Period.
I love it.
And so if they're watching you do things on camera correctly, then what the mentality is, it's all, some people are going to actively think, some people are going to just subconsciously think about this. But if they are doing right when they feel nobody's watching, then you're going to do right through the whole process. Right. So they'll go up, and what'll happen is the group of guys will stand back. The lead, whoever has been voted in to actually have the conversation with the client that morning, is going to go up. We always knock on the door first, not ring the doorbell. I mean, we show up at 7:30 in the morning. You never know. To some people that's late. To some people that's, I can't believe y'all are starting at 7:30 in the morning, and it's like,
right,
dude, I've been up for 3 hours. What are you talking about? But we'll knock on the door. And then they know to step back and give that person personal space so that when they come out the door, they don't feel like this, right? That you want to keep them calm. You don't want to elevate, right? You don't want that stress to elevate. So my guys will sit there and they'll introduce, every single one of them will introduce themselves to the client, right? And then what they'll do is, like, the lead will say, well, what I'd like to do is I'd like to go over to the area and we'll go over everything that's going to go on today. Is it okay if the guys go ahead and back the vehicle into the driveway? Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. So you're getting permission, right? Yep. You're not just assuming, well, I'm here to work, I'm parking in your driveway, screw you.
Sure.
It's not gonna buy you any points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all you had to do was ask. You know what I mean? So it's like, you're gonna take a tiny amount of energy, ask, get permission, and you're already winning. Because here's what happens. Here's what happens with our situation. The lead's going to go over, the guys are going to start moving the equipment back. The lead's going to go over. He's got such detailed paperwork that when he goes over to the install or the area we're doing, say the garage, right? So he goes over to the garage and he's like, so here's what we're going to do. Here's all the options. A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Here's the color. He's got a sample right there. Here's the color. Verify the color. Oh yeah, that's it. Oh, this color is going to look wonderful in here, isn't it, Mrs. Jones? Right? You just pump them up, make them feel good about the decision they made, right? Because they're questioning. They don't know. We do this every day. Most people, this is the first time they've ever done it. Think about that. We do it every day. Most people, it's the first time they've ever done it. So they don't know the process. They don't know what's going on. So if you're not helping them out with that, they're going to be stressed and concerned. So you're trying to get them to where they're not stressed and concerned. Now, here's how this helps. I'm sure anybody out there listening to this is going, man, this is a lot of work. Nobody's got time for all this, right? It's too much energy. I need to get out there and get to work. Well, here's how it's going to help you win. You go over all of these things. You go over expectations of the day. We're going to come in here. We're going to start making some noise. We're going to grind. We've got equipment that's here to control the dust. However, if you ever see us wearing our respirators, don't get too close. If you need to get our attention, any one of us will do, just flag us down. But if you have any questions throughout the day, or, if you have any questions throughout the day, have any questions about the process, or you need to step out for a little bit, just let us know. We're here to help. We're here to take care of you, in anything you want. We're easy to get along with. If you want to sit out here and watch all day, pull up a chair, get you some shade, sit here and watch.
That happens.
It doesn't bother us at all, right? And again, I know in the back of people's heads watching this, they're sitting there going, this guy is freaking nuts. But here's the thing. You address all of these things up front. You let them know that you are not intimidated about them watching you. 99.9% of our clients never come out and watch us. They will come check on us, bring us drinks, come ask a couple of questions. How's everything going? Are you happy with the concrete? Blah, blah, blah. Go right back inside. They don't sit out there and watch us because we've already pre-addressed all of these things. Okay. Which leads me into another thing that I think is very important. If you're doing a job and you run across something that because of the concrete, you're not going to be able to overcome it because of what you're doing, right? Say there's severe, just the way that it's got a severe hump in the middle, but it's through the entire foundation. You're not going to come in and cut that section down to get this perfect plane, right? We're coating the concrete. We're supposed to prep it, make sure it adheres well, right? I'm not here to do a $25,000 reconstruction of your floor unless that's what you were hired to do. But you're in there and out of there for a day. They want it as cheap as possible. You're blah, blah, blah. So we're going to grind it. But if you see it and it's going to be severe, my guys are trained at that moment. As soon as you know, you're going to go find the client and you're going to address it with them. So let them know we're working on the floor. Everything's going really well, but I just want to let you know there's either a hump, severe hump across the entire garage. And you probably haven't noticed it yet because, the finish on the concrete's kind of a hazy matte, like it's not really glossy. But once we put our top coat on, it's going to jump out at you. So I just want to let you know that's nothing wrong with the concrete. It's nothing wrong with the coating. It just exists there and you're just not, that's when you're going to notice it. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, here's what happens. You address the problem that's going to be there, whether you talk to them or not. But if you address it in the middle of the job before you move on, you are the professional, you are the expert. If you address it, either one, don't address it because you're the expert, you do it every day and you know it's going to be there. Well, they don't, right? They hired you to come do the job. They don't know what to expect. So they either find it on their own or you tell them about it after you're done. Well, now you're the shady contractor. All you have to do, the only difference, the hump was going to be there regardless. Nobody's going to overcome that specific scenario, right? It's going to be there regardless. But if you avoid it or you wait until after it's over and they have to come to you, now it's like, why didn't you just do it right to begin with? You didn't notice it till the end. All these things are going on in the back of their head.
Probably a callback, money spent. It's trust lost.
Yeah. And all you had to do was have a quick discussion. And it's funny because if my installers are like, man, I don't feel comfortable, you're going to get comfortable because you're the one there in person. That's where you gain the trust. I can call them, but they're not going to trust you. You need to be the expert and go tell them, this is going to happen. And then once you do it a few times, you get to practice, right? Just like when they get there and they're going over the process, one thing in our business that's really prevalent is there's cracks, there's damage, there's whatever that needs to be repaired. And the salesperson said, you're going to repair this. So you don't wait for them to address that with you. When you're going over the paperwork, you say, I am going to go over this paperwork with you. Let's go look. This is what I have. We're starting here. We're stopping here. We're doing this section. We're taking care of that. We are not doing this section over here. This will come out. This is your color. These cracks through here are all going to be repaired before we put down the coating. This area over here on the front lip that's all busted off, we're going to get that repaired. You're addressing every single one of their concerns that they went over with the salesperson. But just because they went over it with a salesperson doesn't mean it's going to happen, right? Maybe it's going to happen, but they don't. So you address it up front. Every time you check something off of their question list before they ask through the entire process, that is the customer experience.
Yeah, you're the expert. You're the expert.
And you are actively telling them, I am here to take care of you. You don't have to worry because I do have it. Just saying, hey, don't worry about it. It's all going to be great when I get done. We all know I've got some clients that have had problems with other contractors, and they're like, no, don't worry about it. I got you. I got you covered. Everything's going to be good. And then they do 8,000 square foot house redoing the shingles, and the client comes home a couple of days later, you know, because sometimes they'll travel or whatever, and they come home and it's like, this isn't the color I picked out. Well, that could have easily been handled up front. As soon as those materials came in, if you knew they were going to be out of town, your salesperson's getting a commission off of that. Put that sample, rip open the package, take one of the shingles, give it to the salesperson, make them go out there and handle it. If they're not going to be there for the job start, go get confirmation, right? You are taking care of them. You are taking care of you. You're actually, it's funny because a lot of the problems that I see that happen are just because somebody didn't take the time to say something about it up front. Well, I don't want to take 10 minutes to talk to them when I first get there. This is too much. You're going to lose more than 10 minutes throughout the day dealing with them because you didn't build that trust.
Right.
And here's my thing. It's not a con. It's not a scam. It's not anything. It's absolutely, it's like, it was built out of, I want to take care of people. So how would I want somebody to come tell me? Well, if I've got a busy day and somebody's going to come work on my house and I'm going to pay them for it, let me know how this is going to go. Generally, I have to get out my vice grips and yank teeth to get that information out of whoever's going to come work on my house. Yeah, we're going to get started. Okay, what does that mean? I've got phone calls. I've got meetings. I've got this and that. I need to be able to work around, and I'll gladly work with you if you just give me an expectation. Right. I mean, how I tell them, we're going to get out here. We're going to make some noise. Yes, it's going to be loud. If you need to move anybody and get them to the other side of the house, you're probably going to want to do that if you've got little ones and they need to take a nap today, because at a moment's notice, we could be making noise. Yeah. It's just, I would say if you want to make a great customer experience, you have to first do a little bit of self-searching and say, hey, do I feel like being selfish today? If you're going to be selfish and you're just going to only worry about what you want today, you're not going to deliver good customer experience. You have to worry a little bit about, what do they want today? If I was in their position, what would I want? If I took all the knowledge I have out of my head about construction and about contracting and about working on people's houses, if I take all of that out, what would be my questions? How can I address that up front? Just building trust. And then you follow through, right? You have to follow through with it. So we even go above and beyond. I never really saw, I'm sure there's somebody out there that did it before we started it, but I never saw it in any pictures or anything. Like we throw the concrete coatings down on garages, driveways, patios, whatever. But when we're doing a garage, one of the things that I started is I like I said, I'm OCD, right? And people have come over to my house and they have scratched up my driveway just unloading a freaking refrigerator, right? It's in, it's out, it's done. And that is there from now on. There's a scratch in my driveway. I don't want that to be me. So every time we open doors, anytime we make walk paths from the back of the truck, trailer, whatever we're working out of, none of our stuff ever physically make contact with the concrete. We take rubber mats that are lined with like a carpet type material on top, super cheap. They're like, I don't know, 18, 20 bucks at Home Depot. I say they're throwaway. We use them until they're so destroyed, we throw them away, replace them. But what it does is it puts that rubber cush on top of their concrete. So we're protecting their home. We're protecting their belongings. And then if during the day while we're working, you're not tracking concrete dust as you're grinding and you're walking back and forth the trailer, you've seen those footprints, right?
That's a huge thing. You can't avoid the footprints. And it's kind of funny because I have them on my door because I had a contractor who does concrete walk up to the house and I can literally stare outside right now because I'm at the house. I can see it. That's a huge deal. You're not getting rid of them.
No, and that's the weird part, right? It's just concrete dust, but clean them and clean them and clean them. I mean, I'm sure if you get a pressure washer, you scrub, you put in some work, but like you can't get rid of it with a blower. You can't get rid of it with a broom, and you can't get rid of it with just the water hose going over there. It's there, right? It takes forever to get rid of them. So don't make them, right? Again, thinking ahead, if you, like, I've had guys that are like, I don't want to take the time to put them down. It's like, you're avoiding so many issues during the day if you just put them down, right? So just take the 5 minutes, put them down. And I don't care who you are. If you're sitting there and you're saying, well, you know, I swear to God, I've heard this conversation in groups before. Not to name any names, but I've heard this conversation in groups before. How do you guys get the material off of the driveway, right? My guys dripped
all the time.
Okay. Now we're on a construction podcast, so I'm going to get a little bit rude here just to explain this. Well, these dumbass guys, they drip stuff. They're morons, blah, 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 everything under the sun, right? No, they're human. They're working with chemicals. It gets on the edge of the bucket. You can't stop it 100%. If your goal is, I'm going to replace you guys until I get somebody with 100%, dude, I'm over the top about making sure I don't drip. And it's happened occasionally. If you've got these mats down that absorb that material, you don't have to worry about it. It's done, right? You check, right. You handled it before it happened. And then customers come out and they're like, wow, you've got all this stuff nicely protected, right? Well, I mean, that's what my philosophy is about. I'm going to go above and beyond to get ahead of the curve, treat people the way I want to be treated, train my guys to understand that. I mean, you don't have to train your guys to think ahead. You have to just figure out those processes and implement them. We're putting the mats down, end of story. It's not a question. We use company cam. And so we got pictures and crap, of all the jobs. And so it's like, if you're checking on those jobs and you don't see those mats down, oh, it's going to be a fun conversation. But the great thing about it is I trained them to do it. So every time I see it, I've never had to have that conversation. Not once.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I was going to say, there's a lot to that, right? So, I mean, kind of unpack that, right? So, I mean, that's a lot to unpack. So, guys, if you're listening to this, you need to go back and listen to the last 15 minutes because there is so much to that. But there's two main things that I'm going to highlight on that, right? The first thing is empowering your installers and training your installers to make sure that they do the right thing. Make sure that they understand how and when to talk to the customers. Don't be scared to talk to customers. Know and explain the process of what's going to happen. So you do eliminate a lot of that, right? So you're eliminating 90% of the not callbacks or the customer interactions. Down the road, you're already preemptively handling those conversations up forward. So more importantly, empower your installers to do that. And then the reason or how you would do that is putting the systems and processes in place so they know exactly what to do every single day. Cory's told his guys that he's going to put mats down on every single job. You do this, you know where you're going to put them. I don't want concrete dust footprints leading from here to here. It's from the garage to the patio, from here to the front end of the truck. You've already told them exactly what your expectations are, so they understand that. So those customers are seeing the training and the detail that your installer is putting in, but in reality, it's a reflection of you, right? It's a reflection of the owner that they might not even know who you are or whatever it is, but it's the grand scheme of it's a reflection on the company. That's obviously what we're trying to get at. So,
yeah, and just to add one more quick thing, if you want to deliver good customer service, if you want to be honest and you want to be able to keep up with the promises that you make to people, don't be a yes man. Right? If a client says, hey, can you do this? Oh, I want the job. I need the job. Yeah, we can do that. And in the back of your head, you're like, I really shouldn't, or I really don't know how we're going to do that. And I don't even know if it's possible, right? If you're on that end of the spectrum. Now, if you've got enough sense to know, I can figure out a way to make that. And I have 100% positive. I'm 100% positive. I know I can make this happen. Yeah, of course. Those are yeses, right? But If you know that you're putting down, like in our scenario, concrete slabs, you've got joints, right? You've got expansion joints. So it's like, it's not the saw cuts, it's where the two slabs, where the two slabs butt up together.
Cold joint.
Yep. Cold joint. I need that filled because I want this to be a smooth surface. Our answer to them every time is no, we will not do that. Well, everybody else said that they would do it. Well, they're setting you up for failure. I'm telling you right now, we're not going to do it. And here's why. And then calmly explain to them, we're going to honor that because those are two separate slabs. Nothing in this world is going to hold them together. Nothing's going to keep them from flexing. Nothing's going to keep, if you fill that with anything, I don't care how flexible it is, it's going to crack or it's going to pull apart. It's going to stretch. It's going to deform. I'm coming out here to give you a floor solution that is going to last for at least 15 years minimum. If you take care of it, I want this thing to last. So I need to do it in a manner that is going to be successful. And that is not going to be successful. If you make a bunch of empty promises, it is going to bite you in the butt. It's going to come back after you. It's going to circle back around and get you. Well, let's just go ahead and get the job. When it cracks, we'll deal with it then. It's going to crack again, and it's going to crack again. And after 2 or 3 times, you're going to be so frustrated with that client, as opposed to in the beginning, we just need the job. Now it's, I need this to just go away. Again, get in front of that. Give realistic expectations. I mean, if you want to give great customer service, you need to understand what is easily this is the bar. This is exactly what is 100% guaranteed. I know for a fact we can do better than this.
Right.
And then you better just, right? Like you come in and you outperform. That is the only way you can get great customer experience and get those 5-star reviews. If you're coming in and you're promising the moon, but realistically, you're probably going to hit somewhere in here. It doesn't matter. Even if you're hitting, say you're hitting at 98%, but you promised 115, and 98% across the industry is phenomenal, but you promised 115, they are going to be disappointed. And you worked your ass off to get that and make it happen. And you did great work, and you are an expert, and you are amazing, and you're a tradesman, craftsman, right? You're an artist. You're in there just killing it. But if you set the bar too high, then it's a letdown. So you set the bar at a realistic expectation that, yes, we can absolutely hit this. We're going to hit this. And you go in, I've even gone in and told people before, we're not going to repair this because of X, Y, Z. And then I've gone in there and because, something else presented itself that opened it up where we could actually access it. Because it changed between the time we sold it and the time we did it. I didn't say anything to them, but I just went in and fixed it. And then we get done and they're like, oh my God, you fixed that. So they bought from us knowing that it wasn't going to get fixed because that was a realistic expectation. It changed. We were able to get to it and actually fix it. And then they come back out and they notice and they're like, you took care of it. And I'm like, yeah, this happened, that happened. We were able to get in there, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, thank you so much. But if you hadn't have fixed that area, they wouldn't have been disappointed, right? That's the thing. Most people will avoid that crap. They're too scared to have that conversation, but you need to address it.
Yeah, but that's a small difference. And that's what I want to touch on now, right? So we're getting over on time, but we still got future to talk about, right? So I want to touch on this as quick as possible. As we kind of touched on, we probably figured we'd go over on time, but as briefly in detailed as possible. We've got the sale, we've got the installation, your installers are crushing on their customer experience. That final step, collecting the check, 5-star review. So what does it look like to create that raving fan down the road? So if you look at your future business, right? You're going to create a referral, you want your business, you want your Google, you want your Facebook, you want all that stuff to be amazing. Start with the sales, installers. So what's like your collecting your final payment look like, or not even just that, but like asking for a review? What review, either software or whatever it is, like what are you doing to create future business is really what the question I'm asking.
Sure. So kind of like I've talked about all the way up to this point, treat people well, do great work, exceed their expectations. That carries a huge weight. One thing that I've learned over the years, and it was a hard thing to learn. Okay. It was a very hard thing to learn. And I'm sure there's guys out there listening to this. And if you're anything like I was, take this to heart. Just because you do good work and just because you are amazing and you're putting your all into it, you still have to advertise yourself. And what I mean is, say you're an installer and you're working for a company, right? You're working for me and you're out there just killing it and you're doing a great job, but you keep your head down and you're quiet, because this is what I used to do all the time. Keep your head down, you're quiet. You basically, you're the no problem guy, because anytime a problem comes up, you just fix it. You don't ever bring it up. You just keep on trucking. What's going to happen? Every single person at some point is going to feel like, well, nobody appreciates me. Nobody notices all the things I'm doing. Yeah, you're doing on the down low. You're hiding everything that you're going above and beyond to take care of. You're just easy. You're not the problem child. You're the easy child. I have to put all of my energy taking care of the problem child. I've got to handle the problems. I've got to fix all the things, and they're coming daily. Because running a business, I'm sure you never have to deal with any problems, right? Like, it's just super easy, right? Like,
Always, every day.
So you're constantly having to put out fires, and you're thankful that that guy doesn't ever have any problems, but you don't realize the things that they're handling that didn't come across your desk, right? They didn't come across your field of vision. They just handled it. And so you're like, well, he's either getting really lucky, or God, I just hope that he's actually doing things correct, because everybody else has got issues and everybody's doing the same thing all the time, right? So what I'm saying is you have to understand that you've got to do a little bit of networking. You've got to get your name out there a little bit, right? Whether you're a business or you're an employee. For instance, say as an employee, you're an installer, you're working for another guy, and you just don't understand why you're getting recognized. You don't go up be the arrogant hot shot. That just turns everybody off. Just let them know, hey, I just want to let you know, we're over at Mr. and Mrs. Smith's today. There was a crack. We ground it out. Once we repaired it, and ground back over it, more cracks appeared. This was happening, XYZ, whatever. I'm taking too long in this, but you understand what I'm saying? It became a bigger issue, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It became a bigger issue. And you're like, I just want you to know, I just went ahead and handled it. It wasn't on the bid, but it didn't take any more material than we'd already allocated for it. So I just went ahead and handled it. I got it documented. Notes are down, everything. So if anything happens in the future, it's all good. Okay. Well, you're sharing, you're not making it a 20-minute conversation. You're just, hey, I'm hitting on these key points. It's all documented. Everything's handled, but I just want you to know that it's, it was taken care of in case, you can always do that in case anybody ever, in case Mrs. Smith comes up to ask you a question about it, you already know what's going on. Well, what have you done? You've handled a lot of things. One, you did your job, which is what you get paid to do anyway. Two, your boss knows that you made a good decision. And if you make a bad decision, your boss, if it's a good boss, he or she, if they are a good boss, if you made a bad decision, they can train and coach you through it on how to make a better decision next time, as opposed to just, going ape shit crazy, because we all hate that.
Yeah.
But the same thing goes with your clients, right? Like, you don't want to put doubt like their house is falling apart. But if you're going through and something happens, say, hey, I just wanted to let you know, when I was grinding the surface off of this, you're not going to believe this crap, but I swear to God, this happens down here. We were grinding off the surface, and the thin layer that came off exposed all of these dirt clods, right? So like chunks, like balls of dirt just under the surface. Your slab's full of them. But what we did was we cleaned all of that dirt and removed it all out, got it all out of there, and replaced it with our repair material that cures out harder, higher PSI than concrete. So now you have a stable, this section is all stable. We handled it. I'm just letting you know in case, you want to, a lot of times when that happens, they've just purchased the home from a builder. You might want to have this discussion with the builder. If you would like, I can provide you with plenty of pictures so you can go have that discussion with them, just to have this notated for the long run in case something happens throughout the rest of your house.
Yeah.
And so what have you done? You've handled it for them. You've promoted to them that you went out of your way to do extra work, that it came up, it presented itself. I handled it for you. No big deal. And so you've promoted yourself, right? So they know what you did, because they're never going to notice all that extra work on their own. They're just not going to notice. It's buried underneath the floor. And you did the right thing. And you've got plenty of pictures, which does a couple of things. It covers you, right? Because you did the right thing. And it covers them because now they know what the problem is. And they're aware that if something else starts happening throughout the rest of their house, now they've already got this covered. You're being a shield for them, right? You're protecting them. So I guess what I'm saying, the long story short is you go collect the check. You do, you've got to let somebody know what you've done, right? So at the end of the day, you collect the check. My guys finish everything up. They get everything clean. Once everything is clean and the truck is closed, I don't know, that's a lot, unless the customer approaches us. We wait till everything is clean, then we go get the customer.
Okay.
The lead goes to go get the customer so that they can come out and they can see, this is the finished product. This is what we've done. Now, maybe the only thing that hasn't happened yet is we haven't pulled the vehicle forward and cleaned under the vehicle. Not always necessary, but sometimes on windy days, right? So they go out, they get the customer, they bring them out. And honestly, what most of my guys casually say is, what do you think? Right? That's how they start. What do you think? Like, you should be excited, right? Like, you should be happy.
That's right back to the smile thing, right? Because again, your occasion and your passion is going to rub off right on them.
Hell yeah. So they come out, they do that. They're like, man, it's a great color, right? You're installers, construction workers are never trained on customer service, ever. Hey man, I'm just here to work. You never heard that before, right?
No, that's all they do. No, not me. Not me.
Yeah. That ain't my job. I'm just here to work. No, they put on the act just like everybody else. Go in, be nice to the customer, answer any questions they have, go through the process, explain to them how they're going to maintain the floor. You get all of that out of the way and then say, okay, well, very good. So it looks like, because on our stuff, it lists out how they pay, credit card, check, cash, whatever. And it's like, so it looks like this is how you're making your final payment. It's going to be for this, and I'm ready for that when you are. Most people have, if it's credit card or check, people have it right there. They got to go grab it or whatever. But, you just sit there, you go through it, say, okay, I appreciate it. With the way that we do it, it's like, in the next few days, you'll receive a copy of your warranty in an email. And, yeah, I mean, do you have any questions for us? And they're like, no, I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, at that time, oh, well, if you love it, would you mind helping out, some other people and help me out with my boss, and would leave us a 5-star review? Oh yeah, absolutely. Now here's the thing. You gotta understand, everybody's going to say that.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Everybody's going to say that. I don't think people actively don't do it because they're just like, whatever. I think they don't do it because it's not a normal thing for us to do. And so you gotta take your time to go out of your way to do it.
Correct.
So we provide them with a link either to their phone, either via text or an email, that takes them right to it. So literally, as long as they've got a Gmail account, it opens up and they're immediately into the typing portion.
Nice.
So we send them that. Now that's one touch for the review. Your salesperson should also follow up with them either at the end of the day or the following day and just make sure, hey, I know I came out there, I promised all XYZ. I just want to make sure the guys took care of you. You had a great experience. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear it. No, everything went great, blah, blah, blah. Okay, wonderful. Would you mind leaving us a review? When you touched on it twice, right? You got to put yourself out there. You have to, because people aren't just going to do it.
Yep.
And then, so they have that conversation. And then, my person in the office, whenever she sends out, paperwork with the warranty, she sends that out, and it also has a paragraph that I've written that basically says, look, we appreciate your business. We expect like no less than to deliver a 5-star service. So if in any way we have not done that, please let us know. We would love to talk and address that. If we have, we would really appreciate if you would leave us a review and share that so that future customers know who to come to, to have that trust, to help them make that decision. And attached to that's their warranty, and it's got hyperlinks in there so they can just click on it and go to BBB, Facebook, Yelp, wherever. And I don't know. It's just, if you think that asking somebody one time and they don't leave you a review, if you think, I just don't understand people, man, you're in the wrong business. You're not ever going to get a review. Like if you get a review, you're just lucky.
I'm very guilty of it. People that we've had work around the house and ask for it, and I see it, and I don't not do it. I just am busy or whatever it is, and you forget about it. And there's about the third time that I'm like, I get it. That was my fault.
Hey,
do it.
And you think about it, right? Like 6 months later, you'll be in the middle of taking a shower, and you'll remember that somebody came over and fixed a downspout on your gutter, and you're like, man, I forgot to give that guy a review. He was a super cool guy. And it's not that you had any ill intention, but like, I mean, you think about it, when you go out to sell, how many times do you have to ask for the sell? Getting a review, it's the same thing. You're asking for the sell every time you ask for a review.
Yeah.
You don't obviously don't be pushy about it because you're asking for a review. You don't piss them off. I did everything great. Give me a review or I'm paying, kicking your door down. I mean, obviously, right? But you have to ask for it.
You do. And that's part of business. And that's part of growth, and that's kind of one of those things that might be one of those uncomfortable kind of stages or whatever that is. But as a small business and small owner operator, whether you're doing it or you empower your installers to do it, you have an office person that's going to do it, you just got to set them up, right? So guys, I'm going to kind of end this, but if you guys need to rewind this, because again, if you looked at the past where Cory kind of came from of construction, and more importantly in the floor coating industry, just kind of out there, maybe not really sure exactly what to do, did quality jobs, but then took that to the present, which is doing 100% of everything that he promised, and then over delivering above and beyond that. And now obviously in the future, when we start talking about reviews, right? So there's a lot to unpack in this conversation. We are over on time, but most importantly, guys, go back, rewatch it. There is so much to learn from this gentleman. We appreciate him. Cory, any last thoughts? And more importantly, where can they find you? The links will be in the description below, but if anybody's watching this, how can they get a hold of you or learn more about what LS offers?
LS Concrete Coatings has got a page on Facebook. You can always ask for me there. I'm on Facebook, Cory Pollard. If you want to hit me up, shoot me a message on Messenger. I mean, that's probably the easiest way nowadays, right? It all comes back. And then if you have any questions or anything, and I mean, Pete, thanks for having me on. This is one thing that I could talk for hours about this subject, and I have talked for hours about this subject, because the little details within how you treat someone, without how you deliver the experience, it all matters. I couldn't comprehend that when I was younger. I was just like, you go out, you do a good job, you just don't piss them off. But it's not that. It's almost a dog and pony show. It really is. It's like you're going out there to do a service, but you're also putting on a show for them when you're there. You're not, if someone, Hey, if a customer asks you, hey, how are you doing today? Do not say, man, you wouldn't believe the freaking day I've had. They didn't actually want to know. They didn't. They're not there to be your counselor. That's a new thing with the younger generation. Everybody thinks that everybody's supposed to be their counselor. You suck it up, swallow it down, put a big old smile on. Man, I'm doing great today. How about yourself? Put it back on them. Let them tell you about their day, right? If you ever think about the people that you really enjoy hanging out with, talking with, it's the people that actually give you the time that you can converse with them. The most people that you don't enjoy having a conversation with never shut up, and you can't get a word in edgewise. It's a one-sided conversation.
Negative.
Take that aspect into the customer's home and understand that they need to feel wanted and needed. The customer experience will just come with it.
There you go, guys. That's sales, customer experience 101 right there. So, oh, sorry, I dropped my little mouse here real quick since I'm at the house. But all right, guys. Well, we're gonna end this one. We appreciate Cory for coming on. Again, all the links are in the description below. And guess what? You will see more of Cory. We already have a second one of these scheduled, talking about his inventory management. I'm not going to give any real hints at it, but it's called Rook. And you're going to want to look into that before you even watch this next podcast, because if you're in anything that has to do with inventory, you need the program. So again, appreciate you guys watching Beyond the Crete. If you guys have any questions, get a hold of myself or Cory, and we will see you guys on the next episode. I see you guys.